All right, BugeyeBob here one more time. It's time to start tearing everything remaining off of the body so that we can kind of make a decision of, are we going to put it on the rotisserie? Are we going to build a jig for it? What the hell are we going to do? I've got an idea of what I'm going to do, but before I can do that, I've got to tear all this stuff off. So, as you can see, it is now up on jack stands. And the front wheels each turn, the rear wheels are locked up. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, it wasn't. What the hell? That looks suspiciously like I got a bent axle. Wouldn't surprise me. But anyways, the rear axle's got to come out. So I guess the thing to do is to tear in and start doing that. And to do that, all right, that takes care of all the ones on that side. Just that fast, all four tires are off, is going to be the rack and pinion. Now, fortunately, this seems pretty tight. Doesn't seem to be any slop in that thing at all. So, let's get to work on getting that out of there. The first thing I got to do is disconnect this tie rod end, which means I have got to pull out this cotter pin. Which busts right off, of course, which seems like a good thing, but might not be, because that probably means that that is rusted in there to beat all hell. So there's that and that. Now then, I don't know if this is small enough to fit in there and punch that out or not. We're going to find out. Oops. That acts like it's coming loose. Can't seem to grab it. Can I get into it with these? Yep, got it. Whoop. Flew over that way someplace. All right. Next question is, what size is that? I am going to guess that that castle nut is 3/4 of an inch. How about 11/16? That came off far too easy. Now if I can just get the damn nut out. There goes one castrated nut. Let's jump over to the other side. All right. One half of it out. The other half of it out. Well, I was going to have to worry about trying to get those broken loose, but I see that's not really a problem because that one just fell down. Let's go to the other side here and see what we got going on with that. Beauteous. That's all it took on that side. Bit of rappy tappies. And that's loose. Rack and pinion next. Where is my... Got to get my next implement of destruction here. And one. Shit. Yeah, that's going to be a pain in the ass. I can see that right now. Two. What do I have? What do I have? What do I have? That seems to fit. That's not long enough. Yeah, it finally came out. All right, let's try it on this side now. Out. That over there. These top ones. Son of a bitch isn't on. Fuck it. I got enough to get the last couple. And the rack and pinionator is off. Next thing I'm going to do is pull these brake drums off, because it'll be a hell of a lot easier to get the brake drums off right now than it will be to try to get them off when it's all tore apart. Wait a fucking minute. There's a screw on there, right there. All right, we'll play the fucking game. Okay, here we go. See if I gotta beat the piss out of this, or if I have to get heat on it. There's actually supposed to be 2 screws, but there's only 1. Well, that seems to make it a little bit easier to get off. Let's get these lug nuts out of the way. I know. Read the fucking manual. Manual? We don't need no stinking manual. There. There's how you get the goddamn thing off. You take out the screw that's there. There should be 1 more screw there. These goddamn bolts should be. Shit, the brake shoes don't look that bad. Drums probably need to be turned, but all things considered, not that bad. Right. Let's go get the other one. Well, now we're getting nowheres. But we got the brake drums off. Yeah, shit, that'll just buff right out, I'll bet. All right, now, the problem I got is, I'm still amazed. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a brake cylinder right there, hydraulic cylinder, and another one right there. This thing has dual hydraulic cylinders, and I honestly have never seen that on a vehicle before. The bearing doesn't sound terribly bad or terribly good. It just sounds about like what you'd expect it to sound after 24,000 miles. So the problem I've got now is, how do I get this all disconnected? Because that spring is under a hell of a lot of pressure. And my gut instincts tell me that just trying to lift this thing up with a jack is going to result in lifting the whole fucking car up. Well, let's find out. Yeah, that's not even compressing the spring at all. So that means I got to find some way of compressing the spring. Some safe way of compressing the spring. They say that the way to get these springs out is to take out two of the existing bolts that hold the bottom plate up on, put in extra long bolts. These are 5.5. I think they say to use 4.5, but I'm using 5.5. Run the nuts up to where it's all tight. Take out the other two bolts that are holding everything together, and then slowly run these bolts down, run the nuts down on these bolts until the spring is loose, and it's supposed to be safe to do it that way. So that leaves you with a conundrum of that bolt's 5.5 inches long, 6 inches long. You can't buy a deep socket. Maybe you can, but it's probably going to be like $150 or whatever. It's probably something the government buys, so it'd probably be like $1,500. So my plan is I'm going to cut that little bugger off right there and take and weld in this pipe nipple, which is a 3.5-inch pipe nipple, in between each end of this. And I am going to create a socket that is about 6 inches deep. And this 5/16 rod will fit through it just fine, like so. So, let's go make some sparks. Make the sparks fly. This and this are the two pieces of the original socket. This is the pipe nipple that I'm going to weld in there. And you notice it's wrapped in aluminum foil. The reason is this is 0.67 in diameter. These two pieces are 0.70 in diameter. So I want to get this as centered as I possibly can on these two pieces. It probably wouldn't matter if I didn't, but just for my OCD's sake, I'm going to. So I rolled the aluminum foil on here to make it to where its thickness comes out to be 0.70. And now we are at the point where I can weld that. I'm going to try 60 amps, 12.4 feet of wire per minute, and 17.5 volts, and just hope like hell that nothing moves while I try to do this. See how long this is. I now have a 5.5 inch long, 5.5 inch long, deep, 1/2 inch socket. Some people look at that and go, but that needs to be ground clean. I look at that and go, like hell it does. Well, there are a couple of spots on it that stick out. Never said I was a welder, folks, but I'll bet you that damn thing will hold. That's it for that. The time has come, the walrus said, to talk of many things, like bug-eye sprites and real long bolts and safely dropping springs. Here we go, folks. Taking out the bolt back in that corner. This one needs to come out. I've got 2 long bolts in on opposite sides of that spring. I've got my trusty extra deep socket. I've got my wrench, and it is time to tear this apart. First, this bolt. Sure, find the bolt. Get on the bolt. So probably the real long socket. I think that is loose. I'm going to take these bolts down as far as I dare. Got a little bit left up on there just in case. Hopefully it'll catch it. Let's get us a big pry bar and see if we can pry that forward. Yep, the spring's loose. All right, so that leaves me with the problem of getting this plate off. There's that. There's that. Plate's off. Now, get the spring out. Ding. Success. Some days you measure progress in millimeters. Today we measure it in removed springs. Yes, 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 indeedy. All right. That bolt out of there. That bolt out of there. And I will do the other side. And I will not torture you folks with watching me do that all over again. And I will edit this down to cover only the really important parts. Get off of you, bitch. There we go. Spring might still be good, I suppose. Got liquid pouring out of someplace. The hell is that? Water. Where the hell did water get caught up in there? That's bizarre. Unless it was trapped underneath of this damn thing. It doesn't feel like it. Huh. There's a rubber bumper up in here that's designed for this thing to bottom out against it in real rough roads. And that appears to be what is puking out water now. All right. Time to put an end to this video. The next thing we're going to get into is tearing off the rest of the suspension on this side, mainly because that side is going to be pretty much exactly the same. And show you one side, it's probably good enough, won't have to show you the other. And another one right back here. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that, camera. So right there is where that's at. One more cotter pin to pull out. Right here. Guess y'all can, yeah, y'all can see that. On this big monstrous lever shock assembly here. What do we have here now? This is 9/16, which is that one right there. So let's hit that one while we're right here at it. Good. Let's see if I destroy a very expensive Whitworth socket with an impact wrench. Now then, how do we split this apart? That looks good. That looks good. New day. Let this sit overnight and soak. I heated it yesterday. I put penetrating oil on it overnight. I wanted to get this piece broken away from the kingpin here. I wanted to get this piece loose off of the shock itself. And I may have failed on both instances. We're going to find out here pretty quick. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be moving. We'll give it just a little bit of a tap with the air. But I suspect that it's not. Nope, that's not wanting to come loose. I'm not going to do a whole lot of battling on this piece. This is loose right here. I want to get this out of the way so I can get the two bolts that are holding the A-frame on there. And what I can do is, that's loose right there. So really all I need to do then is take this part of that off and get off there. That's out. That's out. More than likely, when this last one comes loose, that whole A-frame assembly is going to want to drop down, so I will grab it. Look, that's kind of good in there. There's that, and there's that. Voila. So that is what a lever shock looks like. Ugh. I can't move it, so I'm not going to try. Now, shit, I need a long extension for that. Try 2 long extensions for that. Might just fit. Well, that was happened much better than I expected. Let's drop down on the inside and see if we can get the inner one out that well. That's right, fall on my foot. Damn. That just flew right off of there. Try taking the rear one out first. Let's see if I can reach up in there. Well, there's that bolt. Now, there's that bolt. Let's see if we can drop this down off of there. Yep, there's what I thought. There are rubber bushings in there that are going to have to be knocked out. How the hell am I going to do that? This will be fun. Probably only need like 1/4 of an inch to get through there. Let's see what the light tells me. Yeah, that's about it. Those rubber grommets have rusted into the A-frame. So that they won't push out of the holes in the A-frame for them. There's a big round hole like this. Yeah, big round hole like that. The grommet pushes into on each side of the A-frame. Well, that's not going to work. Get that thing the hell out of there before I trip on it and hurt myself. Problem is, it's got a steel tube in the middle of it to keep it from collapsing all the way down. If it didn't have that steel tube, which is right there, if it didn't have that steel tube, I could probably clamp onto it, but the way it is right now, when I clamp, it hits that steel tube. So the next question is, can I find something small enough that I can use to drive that steel tube out with? Let's see. That might work. Hold it with a pair of pliers and smack the hell out of it with a hammer. This is actually bowed out right in here to make it easy to push them back in. But unfortunately, that doesn't help you get the bastards out. Unless you've got a big honkin' pry bar. Aha. You bastard. Toy with my affections, will ya? we go. Now we're getting nowheres. Got one side out. Got the other side almost out. What the hell is it held up on? Oh, I see what it's held up on. There! So now we see that those are actually two bushings that push into each side right here on the A-frame. There, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is the completed A-frame and brake drum assembly and kingpin. Ooh, we got a problem on this side. There's supposed to be a Zerk fitting there. These are where our brake line comes in, and our two brake cylinders are there. That's odd. I guess that's a grease fitting there. There's a grease fitting up on the top side also. All right. One down, one to go. Got the A-frame, kingpin, hub assembly off of the left-hand side of the car. Came off a little bit easier because this bushing was well worn. See if I can get that close enough. And you will notice that it is, focus you bitch, it is out of round. So, and on this side, this upper part of the kingpin is loose, so that's good. Now, you look down there, and you may be asking yourself, what in the hell's he got 6 sandbags on the front of the car for? Well, because if you look down the side of the car, right down there where that rear jack is, turned out to be damn near the exact center of gravity for the front end and the rear end when all the front suspension parts were taken off. Still got the rear axle springs and all that on here. So every time I would lift up on that assembly to try to get it out on that side, the front of the car would raise up. Now, I'm not a fan of having cars fall, so that's why I threw all the sandbags on there. So the next thing is going to be taking out the rear suspension, rear axle, rear springs, all of that sort of stuff. But that's going to be in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comments, if you have questions, please make a comment. If you have ideas on how things can be done better, please make a comment. I've gotten some very good tips from people. Comments and likes help get the channel spread and shown to other people. That's what YouTube lives off of, comments and likes. So if you like it and comment, that's a double hit. Comment 3 or 4 times, that's great. I like to try to communicate back and forth with people. If you go through and look at all the videos that I've done my best to comment, or I'm sorry, I've done my best to respond back to comments that people make, because I'm not a genius on this. My expertise is in a totally different area, enterprise resource planning software. It's not on restoring cars. but I'm learning, and I'm learning a hell of a lot about how these bug eyes were put together. And I've had other people comment that one of the things they're starting to see is things that you never see on other channels, like how the inside of this thing is built, how it's put together, the mistakes, how I fix things. A lot of other channels don't show you the gory details. I'm going to show you the blood and guts. I'm going to show you how the sausage is made. So again, thank you. If you can subscribe over on Patreon at $5 a month, that is greatly appreciated. That money will help do things on this car that, and it'll help it faster and move the project along faster than if I have to, wait every month for my Social Security to come in and say, okay, I can afford to do, X number of dollars of work on this thing for this month. So, I've got some expensive things coming up. I've got to either build a jig frame or I've got to build a rotisserie. I think I'm leaning towards a rotisserie right now, despite some advantages of the jig frame, because I really don't have room to build a jig frame, and I'm going to have put it on a rotisserie when I'm done anyways. So that steel costs money. The welding wire costs money. The welding gas costs money. So, if you can help out, it's greatly appreciated. I understand if you can't, but I got a lot of people watching, and YouTube doesn't pay me a dime, folks. I don't get a cent out of YouTube. So Patreon is the place where you can join up over there and really help the channel out. I'm looking at whether or not I can set up some additional one-time payment plans. YouTube seems to fight against that sort of stuff, so I don't know what I can do and what I can't do. But we're just going to have to see how it works out. Again, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe on Patreon if you can, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.